Hey, what's going on? Thanks a lot for listening to this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast. My name is Billy Newman. I'm a photographer. I'm based in the Northwest, and I try and shoot a lot of landscape work. If you're familiar with this podcast, maybe you're familiar with some of those photographs, as it turns out. I think, according to my statistics, there's about 17 people that seem to download this file on the regular. So that probably means you subscribe to the RSS. That could be fake pings or tags or fake downloads or just my devices, my other iPad downloading the file a second time. Maybe that's all it is. But yeah, wow, 17 people. You know, actually, whoever it is that's listening to this on Pocket Casts, howdy. Thanks a lot for checking out my podcast. I know it's not me, so I don't know. I see like a couple Android things that come through, and what is it? It's like 9% downloads on Pocket Casts. There's like 18 to 20% on iTunes, and then it seems like it's like a surprising amount. It's like 50%. And there's a bunch of little ones, like, you know, little other podcast apps and stuff. But the big one is just other. I don't know what that one is. Maybe that's link clicks or web plays or some other kind of thing, or just spam in general, just some kind of generic ping onto the RSS feed that doesn't actually end up going anywhere. I don't know, but that's what I noticed. So thanks to whoever it is that has that Android phone that wanted to listen to this Billy Newman Photo Podcast. Today I'm on a drive. I am heading up into the mountains right now. I'm going to be checking the forest for some chanterelle mushrooms. I'm trying to see if it's like November 6th. I'm trying to figure out if it has frozen out here up on the hillside. And that's kind of one of the, well, that's just the end of the season, right? Like if you're into gardening stuff at all, like I think you guys probably figure the frost is sort of the thing that you look for in the almanac and when it's coming in your region or your district of agricultural growth. I don't know, there's some whole scheme of it that they've been thinking of for hundreds of years of how to farm and when stuff happens. And it turns out to be pretty important, but as the frost goes per your elevation, I think that's when the freeze comes to settle in, that's when you lose a lot of the growth of, you know, the crop that you're growing. So the same kind of works for these chanterelle mushrooms up here. I think once it starts to freeze, they get really slimy in their growth and then they stop growing. So you kind of want that like wet, warm, I guess warm by plant standards, but it seems kind of cool. But above freezing, wet and moist, and kind of cycling warm and wet and moist for a while. But yeah, I think that's why you get that end of October, or, you know, probably most of the month of October is the better time to do some chanterelle picking stuff. Way too dry at the beginning of September, still way too summertime, like not wet enough at that time of year, at least up here for some of the stuff that's not directly on that coastal line. I think you get better seasonality on the coast, as it were. But I'm driving up here. I got a couple things to talk about today as it goes for photo stuff, photo marketing, business marketing stuff. I don't know, just the regular stuff that I've been trying to work on. The main one, the thing that I've been spending a bit of time on, was LinkedIn networking. Do you guys use LinkedIn? I use LinkedIn a bit, but I really don't use LinkedIn. I think I just kind of manage having a LinkedIn account, but I'm not really sure I'm getting any true value out of that as it stands right now. So I don't know if what I'm doing is really going to give me a ton of value, but I'm trying to expand my network of connections, my professional connections online. And, you know, in the past when I'd done this, I'd actually gotten jobs just from cold connecting to different people in sort of an industry field that might have some work for me. Like I did that with real estate agents. I suppose if you're an out-of-work photographer and you're listening to this and you want to try and do a real estate gig, take photos of a house property for some underperforming real estate agent in your local area, some nutty 55-year-old who can't use email, but I guess can use LinkedIn. Well, you know, I don't know. This is what I ended up with, is someone who can use LinkedIn but cannot use email. So I did like a ton of real estate agents or real estate related job titles, and I just kind of connected with them, and I did that for a few hours a day for a couple days, right? And I got a ping back. You know, someone contacted me and said, hey, I saw some of your work. I have this thing, I need you to shoot this event. It would pay $200, and I needed $200 right then. It was probably lower than the day rates of other photographers, but I'm really just trying to put some pieces together, you know what I mean? And right now, like, cash is cash, business in relationship to photographs is business for photographs. So that's kind of what I was trying to jump on, and of course what I'm still trying to do. But it's kind of a weird thing jumping into LinkedIn and trying to get work from it, or trying to get participation of other people. It's definitely a situation where folks are trying to get more value than what they're really trying to give. And I think that's always kind of the nature of networking, and it's really just the ugly part of it where it seems to sort of fall apart. Is that the individuals sort of always want the more of it, and I don't really know how to change that as it goes or at least my experience of it from when I'm trying to contact with these people. I think it's really just sort of a quick way of weeding some people out, in a sense, or weeding people that aren't really as sophisticated or as astute in their I don't know, relationship building or networking skill or something like that. But I get a lot of these sort of spammy automated emails that come back at me that just sort of have some generic unnamed opportunity that I could participate in that isn't work, but it's something I could own. And you're like, what is this? Who's talking to me about this? Is this some guy that's my age that's had no jobs? I don't know about this. So there's a few of those things that seem to pop up every once in a while with the connections that I'm making. But what I've been doing is I jumped on, I got the app, the LinkedIn iPhone app, and I went into the network section, and I kind of type in professions, so like other photographers, other producers, art directors, art agencies, things like that are up and down the West Coast, or just period in the United States. I'm trying to connect with those more, and really right now I'm just going through and I'm like adding people like gangbusters, right? I'm just trying to add 1,000 people per sitting, sort of a thing, and then figure 10% of those might connect back in a timely fashion. More of that would probably come over the next day or two. But if you're new to LinkedIn, I guess there's a few kind of things to do at the beginning that are a bit of a start. I think that part of it's like trying to get up to 500 connections. I think once you have more than a few hundred connections, you have a few more abilities. Like I've seen this on a few social networks, that if you have a really fresh account or it's not really developed, they kind of want you to put in some effort, put in some work and some time before you just go spam 1,000 connections. Oh, and what is that? You have to have a connection to the person first, right? So what I'd done for a while, like maybe a year ago or so, is I really tried to build out my network to about 5,000. I think I was at like the 4,500 area for a long time, and it was fine. Or I think maybe about 10% of that total number actually sees a post that I produce. So it worked pretty well. But what I'm trying to do now is trying to expand that, stretch it out, build it probably closer to like 10,000 or so. If it's just this easy, I think I'm close to 7,000. So that's up almost 1,000 connections just in the last day. And so this makes it much, much easier to try and produce that stuff in sort of a quick amount of time. But I think that part of building, like I was talking about last week, building distribution, building audience and network of people that get to see, and then sort of also trying to figure out what is the value of that. Is there an arbitrage? Which is a word I didn't really understand for a long time. I don't know. Is there a trade of value in the thing that I'm actually working on? Sometimes it seems like there is. Sometimes it seems like it builds over a pretty long, slow amount of time. But yeah, the podcasting stuff, the photo stuff, the business stuff, the advertising stuff, the networking, it's kind of coming together. It's been fun, and I've been feeling pretty motivated with it the last couple of weeks. It's been cool on the content side. I was talking about the Facebook ads and that stuff last week. I'm trying to figure out a better, longer lasting strategy for that stuff too. Like what I spent, I don't know, $40 last week on just a couple posts. And I was noticing that it kind of comes back to this idea I remember from evolution, right? There's a theory of evolution, but which sort of says that there's a uniformitarianism in the universe where things progress slowly over a long period of time, and those changes are implemented generationally. Small incremental changes over a long period of generations. A challenge to that idea, follow me on this, I know it goes back to photography and media in a minute, and advertising on Facebook. A challenge to the idea of that notion of uniformitarianism in evolution was punctuated equilibrium, where things are nearly equal almost the whole time, and then there's some punctuated event that makes things unequal all of a sudden, and that's the period, that's the time of change where things are at a stasis of equilibrium, and then at a punctuated moment in time, lots of things change all at one time. I think it's like what's explained at the first scene in X-Men, like the one from 1999 when some accelerated change in the genome. It's all science fiction at that point, but the punctuated equilibrium idea, as it comes back into advertising and networking stuff, I was kind of noticing that some pieces of content, and this is what Facebook's for, some pieces of content work better and scale better to an audience than other pieces. Things are liked more than other things. So I'm trying to go through and pick a few of the photographs that would respond best as an advertisement or as an advertised boosted piece of content to a larger audience, and go through and kind of be a little specific about, like, is it the portfolio images I have? Do people seem to like this kind of star photo a lot more, or this kind of photo with a person in it a lot more? I don't know, just kind of interesting stuff. It seems like there's a few little pieces that people hook onto and kind of grab onto as far as content goes. So it's sort of interesting when you're just kind of thinking about that, trying to figure out what works a little better. Oh, can you believe it? They've locked the gate that I normally go to over there. So that means I'm gonna have to get out. Oh, what a podcast. This is podcast history, ladies and gentlemen. Today's worldwide broadcast is going to be abruptly short. Oh, yeah, there's a chain. So, yeah, it's definitely locked. All right. See ya. High Pass Road. Fine. Whatever. Okay, so now I'm backing up in my truck. Whew. I'm not looking at the road. Hey. So I'm going to try and turn around. So the whole plan on this was to go up this road and then go down to this like little open basin area, and then you take a right, and then you go up another road that's a little tighter, and then you kind of pull over to this area where you find some ferns and furs and mushrooms and stuff. So that's where I was going, but there's this Forest Service gate, I guess that for the public safety, ends up getting shut in the wintertime. So I'm doing a little turnaround. And I gotta go around. So I guess it's like back down to Ferguson. Is that right? Interesting. Well, it's good that I found this out. I guess that's the kind of reconnaissance that this trip is gonna be for. So I'll probably arrive at the Sun Trail Field a little later. But shoot, what were we talking about? Networking, advertising, punctuated equilibrium. I think that's where we were last. Punctuated equilibrium, idea in evolution stuff. Things all happen at the same time. Some things work better to make changes than others. I was trying to figure that same idea into advertising some of my content on Facebook. So if I'm taking my Facebook page and I'm trying to put that piece of content and boost it for, let's say, like $15, it seems like about $5 per 1,000 people to see it. So $15 it seems to get you about 1,500 people to see it. I think I paid a little over 20, maybe 25, and I got nearly 3,000 people, 3,000 impressions of that piece of content, and it really responded well in that, or relevancy to its market and stuff. So I'm going to try and figure a way to put more behind that. I think that like one of the best or the most possible ways to build a business or to build an audience of people that are going to participate in your business in the future is really going to be through Facebook ads, at least as it stands right now, and with the current environment of the internet, of advertising, of the way marketing stuff works. I wouldn't buy Google AdWords, let's say, to market my business. I'd definitely put it in to Facebook and Instagram, really. But those are the places that seem to work the best, but it really seems to be more targeted on Facebook. I was surprised. This is another thing that surprised me when I was looking at the metrics of the Facebook advertisements that I was running. It was like 95% deep, like 90s, was on mobile. I didn't really understand that all of the Facebook feed was viewed on mobile. All the impressions that I seem to get for the photographs that I have are on mobile devices. I would have thought that still a decent amount of the Facebook share would have been on the desktop, and I think it's really only like me. I think my stuff is, or my view of my page is the only stuff that still comes up on PC. Probably, I don't know, my parents or something. It doesn't seem like there's really much traction there on the desktop at all. And I remember a few years ago, that was sort of the big complaint, or the big worry with Facebook and its algorithm, and when they were trying to make up all those changes, kind of in the 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15 era, where Facebook seemed like it was on a bit of a dip, and then now it really seems like it's kind of in control, at least as shaky as the social media stuff can go. I mean, what is Twitter on sturdy ground? Is LinkedIn really on sturdy ground? Just, no, not really. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the many years ahead. But it's cool right now. Yeah, working on the Facebook page stuff. Probably like everybody's known for a long time. It's a good way to build your business. LinkedIn stuff. Trying to connect. Trying to do more networking. I'm trying to email people right now that I have connected with it, and then try and send them some stuff, some information, or just trying to get a hold of them and do some little phone call chats to try and get to know each other. I've got a couple of those set up this week. But it's with insurance people and financial planners and agents and stuff. So I don't know, find people to talk to, and definitely interested in trying to get some information, at least about that and about some stuff related to that. But that was part of it. I'm trying to think of, if I want to be a photographer, what's the other stuff that I have to outsource, right? Like bookkeeping, accounting, just things like that. How do I effectively process my taxes? Do I need to do that all on my own? Do I need to pay someone $200 that can be kind of in my corner and help me out? Or do I need a lawyer on retainer? I've always wanted that. I can't really afford that kind of expense for it to be any kind of peace of mind to me. But I've always wanted a lawyer on retainer. Who can I call? Hey, lawyer. But I don't really end up in that much legal trouble. I figured, though, as a photographer, I probably need some kind of insurance. But some kind of insurance, some kind of equipment insurance, but really just some kind of on-site insurance that insures me to be a worker in a workplace, on a work site. And I've heard that before for a lot of independent contractors, that's a necessary part. Like a friend of mine that does construction stuff and building, he works for somebody, but I think still has to have his insurance to participate on a work site, which is kind of a weird thing. We might come in and do something specialized, I guess. I don't know. It's come up a few times for me in the past, when I was doing some stuff for the fair, that had come up, hey, we're gonna need you to be insured to be out here for some amount. I don't know if I trip over a fair ride and the fair ride falls over, I'd be liable, I guess. So somebody's got to get sued or insured, I guess. But yeah, probably most everything that I'm going to be talking about today on this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast. I'll probably have some content coming up on Instagram. You can check out the podcast, the feed. You can check out the photos. I'm trying to work on a new gallery over there, all at billynewmanphoto.com. And I think that should be just about everything. If you're a listener and you want to network with me, go through my website. Let's talk sometime. I want to talk to people. So that should be just about everything for this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Talk to you again next time.